Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Sheikh Ahson will start his talk on Omer radiallahu anhu, radiallahu anhu. And inshallah, if you have any questions, please hold on to the end of the talk and you can ask the questions. All right, Sheikh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما أما بعد فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Last week we spoke about the preparations that the army of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu anhu made in Al-Qadisiyah. Al-Qadisiyah, which at that time was part of the Persian Empire. It was where the Muslim army gathered in order to confront the Persian army. And when Sa'd radiyallahu anh arrived with his army in Al-Qadisiyah, and other support armies came to join them as well from other parts of the Muslim world, from other parts of the Arabian Peninsula. They gathered in Al-Qadisiyah and they were a total, with all of the supporting forces together, they were a total of about 36,000 Muslim soldiers. And after they arrived in Al-Qadisiyah, they waited for a period of 4 months before the Persian army even showed up to fight them. And the reason why the Persian army was delayed for so long was because the commander of the Persian army, the general Rustum, he did not think that it was actually a good idea to fight against the Muslims, but he was forced to move forward and fight against the Muslims by his commander, the Kisra, the ruler of Persia, who was a man named Yazdajard. So Yazdajard said, you have to form an army and you have to go and fight against the Muslims. Rustum himself didn't think it was a good idea, but he was overruled by the Kisra, Yazdajard, so he had to go ahead and do it. But because he himself was not comfortable with this, he procrastinated greatly. He formed the army, but he took his time in doing so. And then he said, okay, now I need to train them, we need to get our supplies, we need to do this, we need to do that, and that all took a long period of time, longer than it actually needed to take, because he purposely delayed it, because he didn't think this whole thing was a good idea. But in the end, he had to move forward. So he took his army from Madain, that's where the capital of the Persian Empire was, and he started taking his forces towards Al-Qadisiyah. So while the forces of Rustum, the Persian army, and this was a huge army, the Persian army consisted of 240,000 soldiers. So the Muslim army was only 36,000, whereas the Persian army was 240,000. So while Rustum and his army of 240,000, while they were on the way from Madain to Qadisiyah to finally confront the Muslims, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, who had been waiting in Qadisiyah for months, he sent a small spy expedition to see the situation of the Persian army before they came to Qadisiyah. Find them on the way coming, get an idea of their numbers, get an idea of their formation, so when they actually do arrive in Qadisiyah, we will be completely prepared for them. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he sent a small group of spies, just 10 men, to go in the direction of Madain to secretly spy on the Persian army that was coming in their direction. So he sent this spy expedition of 10 men under the command of 2 men. And these 2 men who were the commanders of this spy expedition, one of them was a man named Amr ibn Ma'di Yakrib al-Yamani. He was Yemeni, and he was a very well-known warrior. And it was said about him that he was equivalent to 1,000 fighters. That's how legendary he was. And the second commander was Tulayha ibn Khuwaylid al-Usdi, and he was also a legendary warrior. And it was also said about him that he is equivalent to 1,000 warriors. So these were the two heads of this spy expedition, Amr bin Ma'di Yakrib and Tulayha bin Khuwaylid al-Usdi. So Sa'd, he sent this small spy expedition and he said, go see what the situation is, then quickly come back and give me the news of what's going on. Okay, so now Rustum is on his way. He's coming from Madain on his way to Qadisiyah with his army. Now Rustum, remember his army is